I've been helping our friends, Angel and Maricela, with the water heater in their travel trailer for a while now. Well, it finally started to leak, and so it was time for a new one. When I last worked on it, I replaced the anode rod. The old one was completely used up. Knowing this, when they called and said that they had a leak under the sink, I knew that the water heater was a prime suspect. When I looked at the water heater under the sink, I found water seeping from the insulation around the water heater. I helped them to identify what they needed, and they ordered it from Amazon. When the new water heater arrived, I got to work removing the old one. The trim on the outside is held on by 4 square drive screws that are driven into the front of the water heater. Then I cut the sealant from around the trim to release it from the coach. Some gentle prying and the trim came off clean. Even the sealant tape remained intact, so I was able to reuse it when I put it back together. Then the water heater itself was attached with 4 screws into the frame. Removing these was easy with my drill with driver attachment. Then I opened up the pressure relief valve to start the draining. Removing the drain plug anode rod was next. Fortunately, they had not used the water heater at all that day, so the water was cold. I replaced this rod about 5 months ago. It looks to be more than half eaten away. That's what hard water does to these water heaters. Next, I disconnected the plumbing lines from the old water heater. These were just hand-tight connections. After I shut off the propane at the tank and disconnected the gas line from the water heater, I had to get the gas line through the hole in the side of the water heater. It had a grommet that also had about 15-year-old sealant holding it on. Pliers helped to get it free from the sealant, and I was able to push it back into the cabinet. Then I just pulled it out of the hole in the wall enough to access the wires to the remote switch. I cut them loose and pulled the water heater the rest of the way out. Next, I did a little investigating as to where the leak was, and I found this after cutting away the insulation. The whole bottom of the water heater was eaten up by rust. All of the plumbing connections from the old tank were still good. So with some Teflon tape, I just screwed them into the new water heater, being careful not to cross-thread the connections. Next was the cord connection to the electric heating element. This was also a good part from the old water heater. Neutral, hot, and ground connections. And then button up the cover. Then I rolled it over, picked it up, then slid it into place after I connected back up the power switch and ignition light. Reconnect the water supply lines was simple. Just connect them up. The propane line just needed a little persuasion with the pliers. Then it just fit right on the connection. I left the water heater loose in the hole while I was making all these connections. This allowed me to move it around to better align the threads. As I tightened the gas connection, I held the elbow on the valve with another wrench to prevent putting too much stress on the valve body. Next, I ran the 4 screws through the flange of the water heater into the frame of the wall. The electronic igniter control for the water heater can be positioned anywhere with a double back tape. Then I put the connectors back onto it, as well as the cover. Then the ignition wire, and that was done. Now we can turn the water back on and fill the water heater. This means opening the hot water tap in the sink. and waiting for a steady stream of water to come through. After checking for water leaks and finding none, then I turned on the gas and then the igniter switch, and it fired up beautifully, and in minutes there was hot water. This left putting the trim and cover back on and sealing it across the top and inside at the bottom of the flange. Then just plugging in the electric heating element and testing it. The new rubber grommet just slips in place and seals the propane line. They really like the new water heater, and they tell me that it works so much better than the old one and how fast the water heats up.
Thanks for watching our video. If you like what you see, press the like button below and subscribe. And also check out our other videos.